Welcome back. It starts with an incredible collection of words by Justin Torres. From there, the adaptation begins to take place. Dan Kitrosser and Jeremiah Zagar came together to adapt this beautiful book. And this morning we are joined by Raúl Castillo and Sheila Vand, and they likewise adapted and cared for this incredible story that unfolds in a coming-of-age tale called We the Animals. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thank you for coming to Park City Television. As I understand, it's your first stop in a lengthy series of promotional appearances for your wonderful film.
Yeah, you're the litmus test for us.
Oh, wow, no pressure. So Dan mentioned that we should have an icebreaker, and I thought that pink Stan Smiths would probably be the best icebreaker that could possibly exist.
Well, thank you so much. I hope that it doesn't break people's television sets.
You know what? As long as they still have audio to hear the discussion of the film, I think we'll be just fine. Congratulations to you all on being here. Talk about this incredible piece of work, and in watching a little bit of background video about the process, your moment of feeling, I must do this, and of course working with Dan. Talk about adapting a very successful work.
Well, I picked it up in a bookstore off the We Recommend aisle. You know, in McNally Jackson, which is a bookstore in New York City, there's like a little island, and I read the first page and was just knocked out. And they have a little cafe in the back, so I took the book into the cafe and read the whole thing. And I called Dan, and I was like, Dan, I got this book. It's great. You're gonna love it. And we should adapt it into a movie. And I said the same thing to my producers, and we got in touch with Justin, and he saw my first film in a dream, and we had a rapport, and we were off to the races. And then 2 years later we found these two.
We should send a shout out to Justin. He's a little bit under the weather, so he couldn't be here this morning.
Yeah.
It's a part of the playing field of Sundance that you come into town and get in touch with some new bugs. So send him all the best. Talk about this series, and I'm thinking with your actors here of this series of processes of adaptation, of taking a piece of work that really, like you say, the very first page sets the stage for the kind of impact that this book is going to have. How do you guys go about capturing that essence in a very different format, which is a screenplay?
Well, I'll let Dan talk about the process.
Yeah, well, you change the font. That's the first one. And then suddenly you're set. No, it was
fairly close to that.
It was really challenging, but also exhilarating, because we would take section by section and try and elicit what was cinematic about it. And we would do it over long afternoons in Jeremiah's old apartment that he then bequeathed to me, and then it was my apartment. But it was always the same apartment where that that screenplay was written.
No heat in that apartment.
No heat. It was like living in Rent.
Keeps you on your toes.
Exactly. It was fantastic. I got to live the dream. But it was challenging and fun, and I loved it.
Yeah, I think we ultimately thought of it as an act of translation rather than an adaptation. It was like, how do you translate what Justin had already done to the screen, and that was all. And we tried to put as little of us in it as possible.
And I suppose a way in which to view your job as eminently more doable, to just focus on that essence. Nevertheless, in seeing some of the storyboard walls, there are a lot of choices that you have to make in terms of what makes it to the screen, what pieces of the story, how you're expository, those kind of things.
Yeah, tons of choices, but they were all made in tandem with the author. So we would show him drafts and explain, how they would be representative of the book. And he was fully on board from the beginning, and still is, except he's sick today.
Indeed.
Otherwise, he's fully on board.
Incredible levels of trust and have to be created in order to really get into the joy of that process.
Yeah. I mean, by everybody involved, just incredible levels of trust.
Indeed. Raúl, Sheila, good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for coming. Talk about your experiences with knowing that this was a vaunted novel to begin with, and that you have this incredible privilege to now take the final step of bringing these words to life in a visual form, and also the ironic thing of being professional actors who are working with children who are obviously, through tons of casting work, gifted and able to do the work, but some parenting as actors as well as on the screen, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a long process, but you know, from the beginning, Jeremiah was so clear about his vision and how he wanted to go about translating the novel to a film, and getting to do it with 3 kids who had never stepped foot on a set was so exciting. I think that the prospect of that was really thrilling for me from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know, once he explained how he wanted to go about it and that Justin was on board, I have so much respect for writers, and I thought once I read the book, I thought if we stayed loyal to the novel and stayed true to that we would be, have a great film. So hopefully we'd stay true to that. And the kids were awesome to work with, I think.
Yeah, they were really exciting. I learned a lot from them, and it was nice to have the book as like an instruction manual that you could always refer to if you had questions, and it was nice to have Justin on set to just get, a definitive, because normally you're just kind of making up backstory and you're making things up, and it's nice to have that kind of guidance. And it was also nice that Jeremiah from the beginning was like, you can make this your own. This is not based on a real person. It's, so it was sort of like a fusion of pieces of myself and pieces from the book and pieces from Justin's life and pieces from Jeremiah's life, and it gave, I felt a liberty to, like, I didn't have to be a specific person who already existed. I could make it my own, but I could always fall back on that information from the book. And yeah, and the kids make it really easy because they're just like wild and crazy and alive in a way that you sometimes lose as an actor because you get so caught up in your own process. So sometimes it was nice to just like look at Evan's eyes and be like, there you are. I don't,
As performance artists, had there been experiences in your careers prior to this that, and this is my interpretation, correct me if I'm wrong, that took the level of intensity that these roles required of you?
No, I don't think I'd ever had a kind of experience where we got to all go off into the woods upstate New York and live all together in this kind of group setting, and then sort of everyone cared a lot about the story, and ultimately that was what we were all protecting. So it was kind of the safest environment to sort of let go and be wild and do things that were scary, and ultimately it was about trust, and I think we all built a trust, and Jeremiah really took the time to build that among the team, and ultimately I think our crew really set the tone.
One big family because of like the environment Jeremiah created, and all of us living together. That is a really unique and special experience. You don't usually get that close with people when you're making a movie. You sort of go back to your hotel room or back to your house, and we just had to stay in it, and I think there's a chemistry that was cultivated out of that.
You can't create that without those close quarters.
I think so. I don't even think with rehearsals I don't know.
And Jeremiah's wife is an amazing chef, and catered the whole shoot. It was the best food I've ever had.
It's true. We abandoned our child during that time.
Talk a little bit about the additional layer of curation with the labs.
Yeah.
It occurs to me, and of course, with great respect and thankfulness to the existence of the Sundance Labs, the levels of curation for the story that finally comes out it's wow.
The labs are magic, sort of. It's sort of amazing being here at the festival and, you know, all the hoopla and the intensity around the product. But the labs are very much about experimentation and about failure and about love of the possibility of art. And as a filmmaker, you don't necessarily get that kind of community that embraces that ideal ever, unless you come here. And you know, Dan and I did that together, the writer's lab, and then I got a chance to do the director's lab. I know Raúl went and did some acting in the labs.
Yeah, just before we shot our film.
We'll get Sheila out there soon.
Yeah.
It's a really magical experience, and the movie would just not be what the movie is without it. You know, and it also instills a certain amount of confidence that, you know, you're part of this continuum of filmmakers who have gone through that lab, you know.
The heritage of that is beautiful.
Yeah, I'll tell you, so I was, Quentin Tarantino was in our first lab, and when I was a kid, I remember reading a little pamphlet at my local theater talking about Quentin Tarantino making Reservoir Dogs that I was just about to see on the screen and going through the labs to make it. And then there we were sitting in the labs, and he was like showing us a print of Inglourious Bastards, and I was sitting like this to him, and while the movie played, he just kept going. I was like, this is so surreal.
This is cool.
Crazy. Where am I?
No question. Well, I have to confess to you guys that I only have 10 more in-depth questions. That being said, we have other films that we have to discuss, and of course, in the end, as lovely as this conversation is, one of the things that we're here to do is that we're here to promote the screenings, and you all will be participating and connecting with audiences. If you would, tell folks when your screenings are taking place, where, and do that hype thing.
The screenings are taking place Saturday at noon and Monday at 9:30, and then throughout the rest of the week. I think there's 8. So you can definitely catch the film if you want to catch the film. And we're going to all be there, and the kids are going to be there, and Justin will be here tonight. So he's signing books. Justin, that's cool. Justin's signing books. When is it? Monday?
Wednesday.
What is it? Monday. Monday, signing books at Dolly's bookstore. I'm getting, you know, this is the first interview, so I got
Absolutely, getting up to speed.
And I'll be
Dolly's bookstore.
I'll be signing my unpublished memoir, you know, at the Stop and Shop around the corner. I have 4 copies. Get them while they're hot.
No, you have 3, because I'm dibsing on live television right now.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, the joy of this group, and of course I realize that this is just a subset of all of the wonderful people, crew included, that of course oftentimes don't make it to Park City, but from all of us at Park City Television, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the true labor of love. Give Justin and the kids all our best, and we're certainly grateful to have you here. And the final thing is, where can folks find out more information online? Do you have a website?
We do, I believe. Well, Cinereach, you can go to cinereach.com. I hope it's .com. You can go to Cinereach. You can Google Cinereach, and you can Google We the Animals the film, and that's how I do it. So
Right.
that's how I would do it.
If it's good for the director,
if it's good for me,
it's good for the rest of us. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful week. Stay hydrated, and I don't mean that at all, but I say it because it sounds good. We're grateful to have you here.
Thanks
all the
so
best.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, we continue on. It's only day 2, but we are in high gear. We'll be right back after this.